on and on. And they haven't released his file. They're saying he was in trouble and trying to get out and had been in counseling. 99% chance he was on drugs. I'm going to go back to Steve, Paul, Mike, Connie, Nick in a moment, but Steve brought up mind control. And I'm not going to discuss mind control here on this show unless I give you a little bit of background. But in the interest of time to be able to take your calls, perhaps we should set up in the next few weeks a 2 or 3 hours group of guests on the radio, medical doctors and historians, on the declassified history of mind control, not just in the U.S., but in Russia, China, England, and many other nations. You know, Hollywood has this image of the Manchurian Candidate, and you know, a popular remake came out a few years ago. You need to understand that original film was based on real programs. And in 1976 and 77, MK Ultra, MK Naomi, and a whole other group of programs were declassified to a certain extent. Just the basics of the programs were released, and almost all of it was blacked out. But this fits. It's always an Army officer. Look at the Beltway sniper about to be executed. The Army. Lived on Army bases. Witnesses saw white men in white vans shooting people over and over again, but these guys get caught. Turns out both of them had been under psychiatric care. That is a 95% chance that was staged. And if we went over that evidence, there's a lot of sites and articles have been written about it to make your head spin. And it's time and time again in these mind control programs. The strongest evidence that we can just quickly cover here is Timothy McVeigh. He's highly decorated in Gulf War I. He clearly gets sheep-dipped. That's come out in federal documents. He goes out of the Army into Black Ops. He ends up traveling all over the United States, interfacing with militias, interfacing with gun shows, interfacing with white supremacists, interfacing with the Branch Davidians, all these different groups to try to create a history so that when he was set up as a patsy later, they could connect him to all these groups for political demonization. And the state police, an hour plus after the OKC bombing on April 19th, 1995, the state police see a large junker, big yellow junker car driving erratically. McVeigh pulls over, starts crawling around on the ground saying, it hurts, tell him to stop, I got a chip. He's foaming at the mouth, throwing up, obviously drugged out of his gourd is what the state police said in the report, because they're not part of the conspiracy. And he's got a gun on the dashboard, and he's saying, get it out, I got a chip in my butt, chip in my hip. They grab him, the feds take him. Meanwhile, the feds order state police in North Carolina to release the Iraqi Republican Guard members who had later came out were CIA. They ordered them to release them even though they were trying to get on a plane with box cutters, wire, blue jumpsuits. They're ordered to be released under national security. Then it comes out that the ADL affiliated Southern Poverty Law Center, that the Southern Poverty Law Center was running Elohim City, where McVeigh was based out of, this white supremacist compound. That came out in FBI documents and lawsuits that the feds were ordered to release 2 years ago. All of that's going on. And then McVeigh is taken to Denver, Colorado, and the entire time, guess who his government-appointed psychiatrist is who stays with him 5 days a week? He's not allowed to talk to the media. Guess who McVeigh's court-appointed psychiatrist is? It's Jolyon West, who was the U.S. head of MK Ultra with Dr. Ewing Cameron. I mean, this is declassified. They have the king, the Mac Daddy of mind control. Somebody who took foster children along with Dr. Ewing Cameron. I mean, they have History Channel specials about this, and would reprogram children and women and men to where they had a totally new identity and didn't know who they were, and he could snap his fingers and give them orders, and they would bark like a dog. They would shift into different personalities. They did it with PCP, LSD, shock therapy, peyote, 6 months in isolation tanks. 10 minutes will drive most people crazy. In the salt isolation tanks, the temperature of the womb that makes the brain completely freak out, on hallucinogens with earphones on, giving them commands for 6 months at a time. I mean, total mind control slave. Guaranteed, declassified, that they can make a total Manchurian candidate. Now, the head of this program becomes McVeigh's doctor, and is there with him many years later when he's executed in Terre Haute, Indiana at the Federal Execution Center. By the way, West died 2 years ago, died a few years after that, after the execution. So the government thinks you're so stupid that they have the modern father of a total mind control system. He was the twin head of it with Ewing Cameron. Dr. Ewing Cameron, Jolly and West, is the doctor of Tim McVeigh. You cannot make that type of stuff up. No one would believe a Hollywood script like that, because people would say, the government wouldn't put the head of mind control over McVeigh. That's how stupid they think we are. So yes, there is mind control. And this guy's a psychiatrist. This guy's at Fort Hood, which is a major mind control facility. I'd have to say it's the biggest in the country. And we've listed it as the real Black Ops Command Center next to the globalists love multiple bases. But it's a twin base with Colorado Springs. Probably more important. They've got underground nuke bases under the mountains, underground railways. They got it all. I mean, this is Black Ops Central. Or he may just be a Prozac head who went crazy. Very small chance that he is a, quote, Muslim extremist and did it for these reasons. But notice he told people this. We're being told. And I can go on and on and on and on with mind control. But it's a conspiracy theory because people haven't looked at the facts. Just like Gulf of Tonkin in 1964, it was in the major newspapers in Southern California, especially San Diego, that officers came back from the ships and said this was very immoral. Our ships were not attacked. This was staged. But see, people then read the article, told their friends about it, and decades later it was just a conspiracy theory. No, it was admitted. And then 4 years ago they declassified, okay, it's true, we staged it to get into the war. Well, it's the same thing with me saying, oh, Jolly and West, the head of mind control, was McVeigh's doctor. You're not going to go look up the facts. You're going to tell your neighbor about it, and they're going to laugh and say, oh, that Alex Jones. Oh, that Alex Jones. He says there was a government plan to fly jets into buildings and bomb D.C. and commit terror attacks called Operation Northwoods. No, I didn't say that. It's declassified ABC News, Baltimore Sun, Associated Press. Look, I wish this stuff wasn't true every day, okay? Think about doing this every day. I am sick of it. But I'm not delusional. I can't just not want to believe something, so then I just wipe the slate clean and forget about it and go on about my business like this isn't true. So I don't know what happened at Fort Hood, but I'll tell you this, it stinks to high heaven. It's got every indicator, but the problem is a lot of the indicators mirror other scenarios. But having the media hype it the way they are, that's kind of the cherry on top. It could be mind control. He could be on Prozac. He'll be on that regardless if he's on mind control or not. That's part of it. You know, the public's under mind control. That's what the Prozac does. It puts you into a dream state, into a highly suggestible, hypnotized state. It's like a truth serum. It's a programming serum. And 20% of the public and growing is on it. That's why you can't talk to them, because it's designed to put you under their total control when you watch the hypnotic television set. I mean, for heaven's sakes, ladies and gentlemen, they figured out how to control populations. All right, I said I'd go back to your calls. Steve, you're bringing up mind control. I thought I'd do a bit of a treatise on that. Now make your comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Alex. I just wanted to say, I heard, before I get back to finishing this point up, I had heard that the same doctor you were talking about that was assigned